Boy, oh boy, do I love Tuesday night because it means we get to speak about marketing and about heart centered marketing in particular, all kinds of great human relation stuff to help you build your business and to communicate with dream clients in a non-pressure way, all the fun stuff. Thank you for being here. If you're here live, let us know in the chat with a hashtag live, or if you're watching the replay, let us know by hashtag replay. And if you're watching from, I think within the group, my Facebook group, by the way, it's right there, and I'll give you a direct link if you want to join us if you're not on the Facebook group. But there's a link there that allows us to see who you are if you're commenting, and we'd love for you to comment during the conversation, ask questions, get feedback, and all that kind of stuff. Hey, Ashley, good to see you. And what I mean by we is my good friend Eddie Sand in the house, my friend, in the house. Love it. Uh-oh, we lost the audio all of a sudden, bro. Did I do something?
That was me. I'm supposed to go on mute.
Oh no,
How
you're
are you,
okay.
man?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Gotta say props
Oh,
to Ashley for being here live. Thank you for being here live.
hi,
Love it.
Ashley.
And
It's
yeah,
awesome,
bro.
man. Dude, what's going on, man? How I'm always happy to come over and have these discussions with you.
Yeah.
You and I have had so many, and it's so cool to that people get to see the insights that we discuss. And today is a big one. I'm gonna have to go into that when you're ready. And
Where
I sent you that text message, remember? And
I do.
it's
So
like we got to talk about it.
let's set the stage, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's do
you
it.
and I were texting very quickly about tonight. Like the only just for anybody listening who's brand new to this, we don't really script anything. We might have a couple of notes here and there, point notes that we want to maybe hit on if we get to it. But a lot of the conversations sometimes go awry, or many times go awry in a good way. So the
Yeah.
conversations are just like behind the scenes when we're not live, right, Eddie? It's just like, hey,
Hmm.
let's talk about
Yeah.
this. So set the stage for
Yeah.
us. Like, what was the text about? And then let's just go with it, man.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So basically, I had a call with a client that's becoming a client, and to consult them on their sales process. And so we got to that part. The part where I enjoy a lot is the part where I say, "Hey, what's your entry? What's the entry point that everyone comes to your business?" And so, sure enough, I got to hear a sales funnel, right? And I'm like, okay, and it didn't match because they are heart driven, heart center. They want
Mm-hmm.
to help out, they want to reach, and they want to be genuine. I got all this feeling of like, wow, okay, this is cool. But then they're using a sales funnel,
Mm-hmm.
like pitching now, buy this now, download this now. I said, yeah, we need to look at that again. And so I immediately thought, oh man, I got to talk about this with Joey because, you know, I can only do so much. It's up to them to make the changes. But that's what I want to kind of discuss with you because um, we need to understand that there is a place for sales funnels, and it works absolutely. But if you're a heart center individual and you're trying to be genuine and you show up, that's the first thing people see. It's
Mm-hmm.
no wonder it doesn't work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man, that's why I need your insights on this stuff, on the
Yeah,
unfunneling
the
the sales
unfunneling.
funnel.
Yeah, the unfunnel,
Yes,
man. I'm glad. Like, you know that Nicholas Kuzmich, one of my friends,
yes,
arguably the top Facebook guy in the world. I
yeah,
mean, I didn't know, and maybe I just forgot that. But he mentioned last week he was on in our mastermind, our academy call,
mm-hmm,
our private
yep,
session there. That he was probably one of the first 50 people on the platform, like from the beginning
mm-hmm,
of time of the Facebook ad platform. So you can imagine that he knows his stuff. He's seen almost every funnel, if not every funnel possible. So we talked
mm-hmm,
about this, and then we're talking about why funnels are damaging the business. It was an awesome conversation, and I'm
mm.
glad that this conversation
It's coming up, yeah,
is becoming more mainstream. More people are talking about
yes,
it outside of just me, and especially someone
mm-hmm,
to that level.
Yeah.
And then here we are now, and I believe that this is going to be a further. It's just going to continue to ramp up, and it's not that for
Yes.
anybody listening here that are what are we against funnels and all this stuff. It's not that we're against funnels,
Right.
and it all depends on who you're speaking to when it
Hmm.
comes to the whole standardized funnel, and all that,
Right.
which is
Right.
what we don't do, and then sounds like what that person has been leaning towards, whether they're doing it intentionally, and most of the times it's not because they're doing it intentionally, it's just because that's all they know. And
Yeah.
then somebody like us comes in and like, no, just let's rip all that apart, because we're not against selling, right?
Yeah.
We have to
Right.
give the product to somebody, or
Right.
offer the offer, and all that stuff. But how do you
Yeah.
do it? How do you do it in a non-pressured way? And
Yes.
um like,
And
actually, I
look
just
at Ashley. Well, Ashley. Okay. Yeah. Good.
there
I
that
was
was
gonna
just I
say.
just saw that for a second, and I'm like,
Yeah. And that's exactly it, Ashley. See, this is why there's such a division happening right now, because individuals like yourself, Ashley, are thinking, wait, I see this sales funnel stuff working over there, but then it's just not you're just not feeling it,
yeah, it doesn't feel right
right? It
inside.
just
You're
doesn't
like,
doesn't something's going on,
yeah,
right? And unfortunately, because the topic is now expanding, unfortunately, you feel like, what's wrong with me, or like, should I be using this? Like, why am I waiting? You start questioning yourself, and that's why when I met with this clients, they're questioning, like, I know we know we're behind, we know we've got to get better, but we have the sales funnel, we have this, and I'm like, oh well, the but is what's messing you up.
yeah, for sure. Hey, Lorna, nice to see you. Good to see you. Thank you
Hi,
for being
Lorna.
here. Yeah, so, dude, like when I've been asked this question a lot since I've been talking about unfunneling, and I don't remember when I coined the term about it. It was a couple years ago,
Mhm.
and I still, I haven't wrapped. Just so anybody listening to this and they're like, "What does unfunnel mean?" Because that's the biggest question. What does it mean? And
Yeah.
and truthfully, I don't know exactly what it means, because it's one of those things where, me, right? And like, here's an
Hmm.
idea. I'm just going to go and try this thing out, right? And then I build it as I go, and then put the dots together and say, oh, this is kind of what it is, or what it does, and what it means. Same as Atlas. I had
Hmm.
no idea what it was until I was like, I'm just going to get a whole bunch of people together and try to help them with their marketing, and pull out some of this the
Yeah.
hardcore sales pressure stuff and see what happens.
Yes.
And now I can
Yes.
explain it, but it's like, unfunneling to me is this whole idea of removing the pressure. Like, that's the basics of it.
Hmm.
If I said, like, in one sentence, unfunneling
Hmm.
is removing the pressure. Because
Hmm.
you'll always get the debate of like, well, you, everything's a funnel. Like, if you talk to somebody over here and they opt into your email list and then you don't sell them, it was still a funnel because they opted in and they got on your email
Yep.
list.
Yep.
Yes, but it's
Hmm.
it's it's removing the pressure and the expectation of a
Yep.
sale. That's kind of where my mind is going toward the unfunnel, but that doesn't mean that we don't offer them something. But when do we offer is the
It's
whole,
the key.
yeah, it's when and how,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? When, how, and what, even. But
Yeah.
it's like, okay, take away all of that pressure when somebody comes into my world.
Yep.
And
It, and I'm gonna tell you this. It's a hard shift,
yes,
because here I said about the same things that you're saying to them. I said, well, listen, why don't you start with giving them value? Why don't you start with showing up and stepping up in your industry as someone that they can trust? And they were a little like, wait, what? So what are we gonna when are we gonna tell them to opt in? I'm like, hold on, like, not yet, but you got to show them something. And so, it's a difficult transition if you only see what's out there, and the hype, the marketing hype tells everyone that this is the way to go, right? So,
yeah,
yeah.
and I think that, like, there's so many different ways of looking at this. What Nick was talking about was more of a quick, faster way to
Hmm.
bring premium clients in, and they basically convert within 72 hours and all this. But you have to understand, when you hear stuff like this, and you're not looking at the context, or and that's what happens out there in the world. Like, they hear little bits and pieces of something,
Yes.
and then they try and piece it together and say, no, this is exactly what I want to do, or
Right.
they don't understand the context of it. In that case, it's very high premium, it's very directed, it's segmented, and all this stuff, right? And if you look at what I'm doing, and you look at my and again, nothing's better or worse. It's just to
Hmm.
give an example of, for anybody listening to this, like what I do, because I'm like you, where you know I I'm out in the world doing PreFluence, which is what I call, and this, by the way, is PreFluence, right? Just by
Hmm. Hmm.
showing up every week and just giving and answering questions and being there for people without putting up a 1-800 number or anything else, and my
Yeah.
my thing at the end of this to opt in or anything, and it's just
Yeah.
giving. And
On the
so
100 number.
so I figured that it was like, okay, listen, why don't I just do two things: show up and serve.
Hmm.
That's it. Show
Yeah.
up and serve. And what I
Yeah.
mean by serve is both, like, serve the non-clients or people that I don't know who they are out there
Hmm.
listening to us right now, and who I call dream clients in training, which I don't see them.
Yeah.
They're invisible people, but they're like
Right.
kind of watching. They're like,
They're
I like what he
watching.
says, right?
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
serving the clients that are already buying. That's it. So if I just do that, then
Yeah.
the opt-in to me doesn't matter. So it's like, okay,
Right.
the dream client in training who's watching this, or seeing me somewhere else, or reading a blog, or whatever it is, they decide when they want to opt in, and then the process becomes a little bit quicker, not as fast,
Hmm.
but they're still
Hmm.
in my world, but I'm not pressuring them.
Yeah.
And then when the
Yeah.
right person decides, not the right person, I should say, when it's right for them,
Hmm.
then they put up their hand and say, I'd love to talk about Atlas. And that process right
And
there,
that.
if you counted
Hmm.
that as a funnel or a sales process or whatever, when somebody says, I'm interested in Atlas, and they talk to them,
Hmm.
they do convert within 48 hours or 72
Yes.
hours, and sometimes, right? They're
Yes.
fast. But
They're
if you only
fast.
took that chunk of the sale,
Yes. Yes.
I could say, dude, like, I can get people to convert in like 24 hours or 48 hours. But that's not
Right.
the truth for
Right.
me.
Right. Right. Because again, that's the hype, right? You're showing them at the end of the tunnel, not everything that happened before that, which again, that's another story why people do that, whatever. But
Yeah, yeah,
the unfunneling, okay, so now that you kind of cover all this, and hopefully people are getting the idea behind this unfunneling. um so I'm going to have to ask you some questions, because so let's I have to give you this scenario. So you have a company, 30-year company, and you're a marketing agency, and what you want, or I'm sorry, what you see, what's broken, is that there's a lack of automation. So so the company is noticing that there is a lot of time being spent on conversations that don't end up nothing, right?
yeah,
That they just don't end up.
yeah.
Which again, it makes sense if obviously you want to be very effective and efficient in your time and who you're talking with. Okay, so what happens then if you have ads? And from the ads, you're going into, can I have your name, email, and phone number, because we need to talk. We can
Mm-hmm.
help you, and we need to talk.
Mm-hmm.
And that's their pitch. And then comes the next part is, well, you have something for me, and I'm here to listen. And the salesperson ends up talking to them about everything that they can do, and hoping that they buy something.
Right. Yeah, it's like, here's a laundry list of stuff. Here's a catalog. Pick and choose the one that fits you the best, and we'll help you do it. Right.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. So, with that scenario, here is what I said, and this is where I want your feedback on this. I said this. I said, listen, let's focus on the efficient time. Why don't we give people that audience, that dream client that they're out there? Why don't we give them value by sharing with them not only what it is that you do, but actually show them how they can actually go do it,
Yes, yes.
right? And then that video, let's say it's an evergreen, an example, right? An evergreen video, they watch, they see the person behind this information, and if they like the person and if they kind of um, align with the information, now give them an option to either learn more, not sign up for anything, just learn more, and maybe take them to something else. Maybe they can download something without asking them their name, email, whatever. Just here, go and check it out. Go find out. And in that, let's call it a media kit, right? Let's call
Yep.
it a media kit. So there's a media kit, and it's right there. And then there, focus on the big service, not every single thing, just the big service. And then from there, if they continue having to read, maybe have a call to action to just have a discussion based on what they've just read. That was my recommendation. So what do you think about that, or what how would you do it different?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there, man. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of like we're, there's a different questions to answer.
Hmm.
The first one that pops
Okay.
up into my mind, by the way, Lorna, that's I agree with that. Sometimes those dream clients don't know what is best for them. That's what we help them figure out. And you know a lot. This goes back to the discussion we had today on Academy. You were there for
Hmm.
the chain of beliefs. Like, what do they
Yeah.
need to believe before they buy from us? I think that's one of the most powerful understandings that we as marketers, or heart-centered marketers, need to understand to
Hmm.
put the right content in front of them, or demonstration, whatever you want to call that.
Right.
So the first thing that I want to address is, when it comes to, I'll just call it a process. Let's just call what
Hmm.
we're talking about a process, whether it's a long process or the short one to the sale and all these other things.
Hmm.
Is who are you speaking to? Like when Nick was
Hmm.
talking last week, his process is like, it's very targeted. It's very, his process happens really really fast, and that's the way it's done, because the right dream client out there who is making $10,000 or more and wants to grow and all that stuff, they don't have time to waste. They don't want to go through a funnel. They don't want to go through sequence and learn and go to something and watch your
Hmm.
stuff. They already know what the problem is, and they need someone. They're looking for someone, rather than they're looking not for what. They're
Hmm.
looking for a who. They're looking for someone. A complete
Hmm.
difference. Whereas,
Hmm.
on the other way, people are looking for what. What information can I get? What
Hmm.
what can I learn? Tell me what I need to do, and how. So there's a huge difference
That's
there,
interesting.
right?
Yeah,
Huge,
oh my goodness, that's a great
right?
point because so wow, you already just telling me that you got me thinking that what's happening in their situation, in anybody's really for that matter, because I've done it, is that we focus so much on the let me give you this, but we may be actually doing wrong. Maybe they are ready. Maybe they do. They're just looking. How can you help me? Let's get to it, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Maybe we think, oh, yeah, buy now. Click here, join here, do this, do that. But they're just practically looking for the information so that they can actually figure out more.
Well, they're looking
So
for the right who. Like, I've had that
the right
situation
who?
too, where
Yeah.
my process is, I
Hmm.
might chat with somebody and go through a couple things, and I've actually had, I think I can count them on one hand, but still there's enough of them for me to notice that they'll say, could I just jump on a call with you and let's go through these questions, or ask me whatever it needs. I just want to ask you a
Hmm.
couple of questions. And they were like immediately dream client purchasers. They were like, okay, I'm in. Like, what do we do next? There are
Hmm.
definitely people out there. But again, stepping back out into the bigger picture, that's where everybody not only sells, here's what it is, and it's rare,
Hmm.
and where everybody's focused. Oh, I've heard this before. I just want to get somebody in and sell them stuff. So
Hmm.
it's not that you don't offer them something, and even now I don't. It's not that I don't offer a chance for an immediate person who just doesn't want to wait for anything to
Okay.
get on a call with me. But it's not in their
Uh-huh.
face. It's just kind of as little PS thingy. Like, by the way, If
Okay.
this thing is you, then let me know, type of thing, and then I can have a conversation. But here's the
Hmm.
point.
Mm-hmm.
In your case, what you're talking about is they may not know, or they may not be speaking to the right market yet. They might be just looking for leads. I don't know if that's true. And if they're looking for
Mm-hmm.
leads and they're coming in and it's going nowhere because they have not only a laundry list of everything, that tells me right away they don't know who they're speaking to because they have way too many options. In I'll just use Nick as an example again. In his case, there's only one option. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to help you scale. I'm going to help you reduce your stuff by 4 times, your ads cost by 4x, blah blah blah, and you're going to go from 10,000 to 100,000 a month or whatever it is. Like, so it's a very
Mm-hmm.
direct and specific person who needs to go in. And as a matter of fact, because of that
Mm-hmm.
conversation last week, I realized that my conversations, even with people that are thinking about Atlas,
Mm-hmm.
and again, like you always have to have somebody else, ignite something in you. And I'm hearing Nick, and I'm like, dang, like I'm not doing that. Like I'm not segmenting enough
Mm-hmm.
because I'm always asking like I'll go into a conversation and the person's great, everything's great except they have a very low offer. They're like, well, I got a $197 thing or a $27 thing or whatever, and I really can't help them. It's not because of who
Mm-hmm.
they are; it's just because of what they have and where my genius or what my program does. It's
Mm-hmm.
very difficult for them to get to where they want to be, even as 100,000 in revenue and all that stuff. It's just way too difficult for me to help them do that. So
Yeah.
a lot of those people, I'll say, this is not the right thing for you right now. So
Mm-hmm.
now in this case, if you go to my Google Doc now, you'll see it. It says
It's different.
if
Yeah.
you're not make if you're willing if you want to do if you have an offer or willing to put out an offer of $1,000 or more, this is for you. So
Okay,
right
that is
away,
so genius. Okay. Yeah, I gotta tell.
you see what
Let's
I'm
talk about
saying?
this right here, because yes, I get it. Because um, on my end, it is the same pre-qualification form that I like for
Perfect.
everyone to have, right? It and in the pre, which is by the way, they're missing that. So I'm glad you brought that up, because they have so many services. But my question was, but is there one thing, like what is that one thing
Yeah.
that you want to sell? And they were kind of afraid to tell me, because they have found themselves in the cycle where you hear this all the time, that make a deposit or start here, start, in the little things, and then that makes complication. It makes it a big complication for the buyer, because now you have to show them which one to get, 3 5 different things. Okay, $50, $100, 20, and then that just becomes overwhelming. Where the
Yes.
fact is, what you just said, I like what you just said, and again, it comes down to that pre-qualification form. If you are ready to take the next step, and your marketing budget is between 1,000 and 10,000, I don't know, whatever, then let's have a conversation, right? That will help alleviate the time, the effectiveness, right? To make it
That's
count, those
that's right.
conversations. That does not mean that they're going to pay 10,000. That does not mean they're going to pay 1,000. No, it just means that they have an understanding that they must invest in about this much, right? Now, so that's good that you said that. Let's go back to the previous thing before what you said in regards to your page, your Google Doc. You said that, okay, so if you're not in this category financially, then this is not good for you. This is not the right time for you. So this is not the right program. So what do you do with them? Because I mean, obviously they know this is too much. What do you do? I mean, do you just put them, like forget about them, or what? Like what do you do?
Well, are you asking about their investment for the program or the
No, no, because they
qualifier?
don't have the qualifier in regards to, they understand that, you know what, that's a lot of money, and they know that, but they've kind of moved along to that point. What do
If
you
they
do with
get
them?
if they get okay, so I think I understand what you're saying, what you're asking.
Hmm.
The first qualifier is, do you have an offer, or are you planning an offer
Hmm.
that I'm talking, let's pretend you're the
Hmm.
prospect, that you
Hmm.
are going to have $1,000 offer or more. That's the
Hmm.
first qualifier. So if you
Okay.
come in and say, no, I'm going to do a $297 product, like
Hmm.
right away, this is not for you.
There's not.
Okay.
So when
Now,
what do you do then? So let's say if it's not
I
for
just
you,
leave it
but I
alone.
also you don't like have a follow-up system or
Well, I
something
don't have a
or
follow up system, but when I'm in the conversation, if someone says comes back to me, or we in the conversation, because I'll still ask this sometimes, or
Mhm.
many times I should say, "Okay, we're going to come back to this question because I love it." Um, During the conversation, that probably comes up too. I'll ask like, "How much is the product or whatever? What are your offer?" And they'll tell me something, and then depending on how committed they are to the lower product, then I'll
Mhm.
just leave it alone. It doesn't make any sense for me to try to convince them otherwise. However, I have convinced, shouldn't really say convinced, but have shown another perspective of, if you
Mhm.
raised your price and did this, this, and this, because remember, it comes down to what they want about their future life. That's really what we're selling. We're selling the future life and an awesome experience and all that. And so it's not the program. They don't care about Atlas. They don't care about my program. They care about a better future life, right? So I've
Mhm.
already understood where they want to be in their
Mhm.
life, and that's why I'm
Mhm.
saying, well, let's say somebody wanted to make $10,000. The average for me is like, I want to make 10,000 a month. Okay, so let me
Mhm.
just give a real life example. ten
Yeah.
thousand a month.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, great. So then, what's your offer? What does it look like? And they're like, well, it's $100. I sell $100 product. I'm like, okay, let me see, what's the math on that? And it's a lot of money. I mean, so it's a
Mhm.
lot of
A
numbers,
lot of numbers
right?
to
It's a
get
lot of
them.
numbers,
Right.
and we're not even talking about. I'm not talking about sales, and we're not even
Mhm.
talking about getting leads. And if you do a standard funnel where the leads are like, you get like a 5% conversion, which is astronomical, as you know. Like if you said to somebody,
Mm.
I get 5% conversion, like what? Right?
Yeah.
So there was some, I'm already giving them that. I go, this is a lot of people you need, like
Mhm.
tens of thousands of people every single month to come in. Um, so to me, it's like it's too hard, and
Mhm.
so that's what I'm
Mhm.
trying to show them.
Mhm.
Like, okay, if you did it this way and you spoke to someone different,
Yes.
what are you open to that? And if they're open to that, then that's when they would go and see my offer. And when it comes to, if they get past that point, if
Mhm.
the investment in my
Mhm.
program is too much for them, then yes, it's not a follow up, but they're still into my ecosystem.
Okay,
But
so you do keep
but I
them there.
yeah, I know who went where. Like, so that's
Okay,
how I
right.
have a segmentation. I still know that I spoke
Segment.
to Eddie in October about Atlas. He hasn't bought yet, and I
Mhm.
may speak to you a little differently, right, in my
Mhm.
marketing in my email, because
Yeah.
I know that you've already gone there. I've already spoken to you about it. You already know about Atlas or something, and
Mhm.
that's where this chain of beliefs comes in too, where I'm sharing what my dream clients, and this is what I wanted to talk to you as well, because this will help you and everybody else listening to this. By the way, if you got a question or comment or feedback, let us know in the comments in the chat. We'd love to have a conversation with you too. Uh, Here's something that I learned is like attracts like, right? Like, so
Yes.
dream clients, if you have dream clients already in your program, then what they say, what they like, will attract other dream clients.
Mm.
So it makes sense to say, huh, they liked this. I'm going to share this out into the world. So on
Mhm.
that occasion, I would share more of that with you because you already know about Atlas or something in this case, right? You know
Right.
about it. I might share a video, or I might share an insight about it that says,
Mhm.
hey, I just learned this. Here's something I just learned. And that's in hopefully enticing you more
Right.
to come back to me and say, you know what, I want to take another look at Atlas,
This
or
is
can I get on a
right.
call with you or whatever. And
Sure.
those are the ones I'm talking about, where you come into me maybe the second time around
Mhm.
for the next Atlas, and we
Yes.
get on a call, or you message me and say, I'd really like to know about the next Atlas, and you ask me one or two questions, and then all of a sudden I got your money. But I could
Hmm.
turn around and go, look at that. It was so easy.
Yeah,
Eddie
yeah,
converted
yeah.
in like 24 hours, but it wasn't, right?
Right.
It was
And
that
so,
pullback of
right,
respecting your time and giving you
someone,
more.
yeah, because someone showed up and they saw the opportunity, but it's just they just couldn't make the commitment at that time.
That's right.
So you segmented them into this communication process
Yeah.
where you're building not so much, and you're not even persuading them. You're actually building that trust, or no, better yet, you are reminding them that it's possible,
Yeah.
and that timing is just not maybe right, but it's possible, and look at this or look at that, right? And so they start to, because they are looking for that, they relate to what that information, that content that you're giving them, and that's what inspires them to say, maybe I should have a second look at this. Maybe there is a way for me to make it work.
Yeah, it's they don't go into, the funnel, like you didn't buy, then you go into this you didn't buy funnel like that. They don't go into that.
Right.
But they are segmented in my world. I just put more
Mhm.
time and effort into it. This is where I choose to put my time, is knowing who's on my list, because that's why I don't have a huge 100,000 person list. I don't need it. I have
Yes.
my 2,000 people, and I
Hmm.
kind of know their names, and I
Yeah.
know I've got my segment of here's the 100 there, or here's 200 people that did this, and they're kind
Okay.
of always around, so I can talk to you differently, and it's not a
And,
sales
and,
pitch. It's just a
and
different communication.
you do this how? How do you talk or
Email.
communicate? Email. Okay. Okay.
Email.
So,
Now, on the other hand, if you want to get into
mhm,
logistics here for a second,
yeah, yeah.
and this is for the automation people, or for the people that are thinking, "Holy crap, I just want to put it on autopilot here."
Sure.
They're not going to like this. They're not going to like this. However,
Oh,
it
tell
works
us.
really, really well for me, which
Uh-huh.
is I follow, the Joe Polishes, the Steve Sims, Kevin Thompson. These are the masters of relationships in my world.
Mm-hmm.
I follow their mentality mindset is by
Hmm.
doing something different that nobody else does, which is actually reaching out and having a conversation or saying hi or doing something that is not about
Yeah.
me. And so
Hmm.
I'll do that kind of a
Yes.
follow up,
Yes.
and it just puts me in front of somebody again. That's all it
Yes.
is.
Yes, it's Joey. It's top of mind, right? Is
Yeah,
relationship marketing. That's what that means. It's not a something that you're gonna get sales from, but you're going to build such a strong relationship, and subconsciously, this person, just like I do with you, this person that hears of something that they were talking about you, they think of you,
that's right.
right? And that makes a more of a connection. And you've had this happen that people months later they show up and they're like, I've been watching you and I'm ready now, right? So top of mind, top of mind. So okay, automation, automation. Now you hit this spot here because I it's hard to tell a big company to be like, stop automation. you know
And I'm not saying
how
that.
Right, but however, it can be done. So let's say I like the process so far. So let's review so far because I want to make sure that people actually, this is gold nuggets. This is like super cool. All right. So first of all, let me back up. So first of all, is yes, there is a process. You have your Google Doc. I use a questionnaire, pre-call questionnaire to pre-qualify. Basically, there's a pre-qualification process that happens so
Hmm.
that you can talk to the right person. So that's key. Then after that, you are segmenting. So technically speaking, you are putting two different, let's call it email marketing
Yeah,
sequences,
there's two
right?
lists. Yeah,
There's two lists, right? Okay, and so, but you are communicating to the specific list in a way that where they're at. You're meeting them where they're at.
yeah,
So which is, that's very important. You're not just blasting everybody with the same information. You're
Right.
really taking the time to understand not only where they're at, but also use the language that they can connect and engage with. Okay, so that's good. So at a big company, a big level, I think this could be done automatically, but there's got to be some personal touch. So, what if, let's say, they take the extra time, the salesperson takes the extra time to go find them on LinkedIn or wherever it is that they hang out, in the list that they haven't bought, right? That the list that they're nurturing, and they just do send what you just talked about. They do send that quick message just to say, "Hey, how's it
Yeah.
going?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No strings attached, no agenda. It's just a person to person connection.
Yeah.
That can be done.
Yeah. It can be done. Like I use Keep for my
Okay.
main CRM, and they've got like a pipeline built in where I think
Hmm.
they call it a pipeline, whatever it is, opportunities, things like that. And you
Yeah.
could easily set up all kinds of different automations where, let's say that they went through your sales process, they qualified, they got on the call, and they didn't do anything. And at the end of that call, I could press a button or just say finished call or whatever it is, and that could trigger the automation to move the opportunity for a follow up in 3 weeks or 4 weeks. And that'll come up when I open my computer in 4 weeks from now. It'll say, "Hey, reach out to
Hmm.
Eddie, send him a
Yeah.
message on this," and like it's just a habit. It's just like you don't have to
Hmm.
remember who you do, but that can always be there and say, okay, let's say you do that like every day. You start out with, I'm going to send 20 personal messages. Like that's the start of your day. It's not sales. It's
Yes.
like just
Right.
want to reach out or whatever. But there is, I guess you could, depending on how personal you want to be. I like
Hmm.
being a little bit more personal,
Sure.
so mine isn't automated to that degree.
Sure.
However, I have, and I could do that, but I just it's in another place where I could just look up the conversation that we had,
Hmm.
and I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, and then I might reference that.
Okay. So
So
you kind of continue
I'll
the
look up your
conversation.
record. It's kind of like
Hmm.
the old days.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm dating myself, but with the Rolodex and everything, and you're like you had all
Oh
this,
my goodness, the
right,
road.
and you
Wait,
wrote down all the details. And you're like, hey man,
yeah.
like that kind of stuff. And
I was in the transition from Rolodex to Palm Pilots. Remember those?
yeah, man, yeah, right.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
it's like this is for people that are just listening there and they're going like, wow, that sounds like a lot of work. You're right. It is a lot of work.
Hmm.
But is it worth it? And it all depends on who you're speaking to. For me, I'm speaking to high premium clients that are paying me $4,000 for a program. So I don't
Sure.
need very many of them
Yeah.
to make a nice, healthy
Yes.
business at this
Right.
point, unless I, want to eventually scale into the millions of per year. But at this point, like
Right.
I can put some time into this and then maybe automate and all that stuff later or get people to reach out for me or go into the thing. But at this point, Joey Coleman, I'm going to give his credit because this is where I first heard it, is do the unscalable. Like we are in the, and for
Mm.
your company you're talking about, they're probably not, this doesn't translate to
Right.
them.
Right.
But for
Right.
us, for entrepreneurs, believe it or not, the thing that we have most of is time.
Hmm.
And we don't use the time the right way. That's the difference. Because
Yeah.
everybody will say, I got no time. That's because you're
Yeah.
not using the time in the right way, which
Right.
is,
Right.
and you're burning it in sales funnels and all these other things trying to convert
Right.
leads when you could take that energy, in my mind, and as an entrepreneur, like a solopreneur, whatever, and
Yeah.
use it there, invest it there, so that the sales do translate, and then you'll
Yeah.
find that you're not wasting time. You're actually buying back time.
Yeah. Yeah. Lord, I said Palm Pilot and BlackBerry. I know that was
Let's
my gig. Hey, didn't you
before we
have a
move on, let's
question?
go to
Oh,
the
yeah,
okay.
yeah. There you go. Hey, yes.
I'm going to read
What's
that.
going on there? No, I can't because it's just right there. Like
Okay, I
reading
got
it.
it. So, is it possible that potential dream clients might feel that you're the right who, but still may not be ready to purchase? They may need more time to know you more deeply and to experience some of the strategies and tools. Yes,
Yeah.
that's basically how my world works.
Hmm.
Because the people that are coming in again, like this is so different This is so important to understand who your clients are and where they are in the process. So for my client, this is someone who might believe that I'm the right who, but here's the other thing, Kate, for me, they may believe it, but they not we're not really sure yet because they've been screwed over so many times. So many
Mhm.
people have lied to them, and they're like, "Here's another dude that just knows how to talk and
Mhm.
market, whatever." So they do need more time for me.
Yeah.
That's why I let go of the expectations of the funnel and follow up and like, "Hey, why didn't you buy? Can I give you a discount? Can I?" None of that. It's just like, you know what? Come into my world. Let me prove to you that I am different and that I really do care about you. And whenever you're ready, if you are ready, you'll let me know. So you're 100% K. And this is the hard part about what I do because
Hmm.
it sometimes you just don't see any momentum and you're just
Yes.
showing up and you're like, what's happening? I'm not like nothing's going on, but I can feel the energy behind and it just woo woo, but I know that.
Man, you just made me think of this. How cool, how cool would it be to so far we've gotten we are Joey, we are listening to you and you are helping all of us build this unfunnel funnel. Okay, because now you've got me thinking, so the conversation was there. There's this the one service, the one investment, but the budget was not there, the timing was not there, so it's okay. You're just going to be, we'll basically put you into the nurturing system that we have. Okay. But how cool would it be if you show up and you give? So, because I'm thinking, imagine, let's say you have 100 people that basically they're just not ready. And could it be possible to gather those 100 people and give them something like in a
Yeah.
group setting or something, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Without the ask. It's
Yeah,
just
100%.
here you go. See,
Yeah.
so I'm telling you, it's the foundation of relationships. And yes, relationship is a hard thing to do. And yes, it will take time. But I can only imagine in my world, a sales professional could easily use, let's just say, the first week to connect with those who are top of mind, top of list, like the people who they know they need to be showing up to in front of them. But also don't forget everybody else, and they can also have that extra time to give.
Yeah.
Every single month, every single week, every single day, if you build something like that, and it only takes just communicating with someone, sending them a text message or something, it only takes a minute or less, and gathering them up in a group takes a little bit more effort, but that's a group. You're not wasting time with 100 different people. You're having them all in one place, and you're still giving value. How much better life will be for the sales individual, the
Yeah.
company, the people who are waiting for a leader to show up and to guide them in the right direction. And then that's where that confidence comes in. They feel confident that you're the right guy.
Mhm. Yep.
So it's why is it so difficult for why is it so
Dude,
difficult for companies to think it that way? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I just, you know, I'm just guessing, but it just has a lot to do with what are we getting out of this today, right?
yeah,
I've got 8 hours I put in here. What did I get out of this, right? And
yeah,
for me, I just let everything go. It's like I don't want to do everything just for nothing, but I do show up and serve, and that's all it is. Because I know that the serving for me ends up to be a sale later into the future. Like I'm planting future money today. Like right now, I'm planting future money. I don't know who it's going
hmm
to come from, and I don't know when, but I'm planting
hmm
future money, and so are you. Just by showing
hmm
up and sharing your who you are and being who you
hmm
are, all that stuff. It's planting
yeah,
future money for the dream client, and I know that because I've been doing this now since 2020. So it's
yes,
like easily coming into 4 years that I've been doing this day in, day out, day in, day out, and it's proven. but I just can't prove here's how many people are going to come in January to the next cohort. Here's what's going to happen. And, you know, there's other
Mhm.
processes that if you're in a different level or a different model, you could probably predict it and get and. But for me, I just don't like the pressure, so I just show up
Yeah.
doing what you just said. Is more if I have a group of 100 people that I've segmented or whatever I've tagged,
Hmm.
I could easily just bring them into a group setting and demonstrate or ask questions and without pressure. This doesn't mean, by the way, for anybody listening, they're like, well, this guy doesn't, I have to make money, I have to sell. Yes, it's part of building a very healthy business. But every single one of my clients, they'll tell you, Joey never pressured me whatsoever at all. And here's the other
Hmm.
side of the coin. I've had, in terms of, I'm going to tie in the follow up and the group thing. So I've had
Hmm.
the groups, and then I followed up with them and said, "Hey, do you need some help on this thing?" And they didn't either. They didn't respond, or they said, "No, I'm really not ready yet." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." And they don't get pressured. They just keep on getting value. And then maybe 6 months later, this has happened a couple times already. I might send out another personalized thing, say, "Hey, how's everything going with this?" Right? And like, "Oh, I'm really not doing that anymore. I stopped doing that, or I went to go get a job and this and that." And but they're still on my list. Now imagine they went through a pressure funnel. Imagine if that person was in a different situation. They came to my thing. I gave them a little bit of offer. They didn't respond. Then I put them into a pressure funnel and pressure funnel and pressure funnel. Right?
Hmm.
They would really be mad because this is a person
Yes.
who is under a completely different situation that they had to go get another job or they quit, they
Yes.
didn't do the thing, and I've left them alone and they just happen to be on my list and maybe they'll opt out now or whatever, but I left them alone and they just kind of followed up and say, how's everything kind of going, right? And they've just
Mhm.
changed their mind. To me,
Yeah.
that's just being human. Like, okay, I got it. Or it might
Yes.
end up being the other way and say, yeah, you know what? I'm still struggling with this thing. Maybe we should talk or whatever. But
Right.
to me, it's like that to me saved me from someone being really mad at me, going, here we
Hmm.
go again. All he does
Yes.
is he wants to sell.
Or not only that, the worst is you them categorizing you into the pressure guys. The here we go again. This is just another guy trying to sell me stuff.
That's what I mean. And then they could, uh, mark me as spam and
Spam.
all
Yeah.
these other
Right.
things. And
Right.
then you get this reputation. And it's like, yeah, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's it's like I'd rather just be cool and like
Yeah.
that's really fantastic. And then so it's happened a few times where I've noticed it. We're like, oh, okay, this person no longer is doing this. So I untag them because
Hmm.
I'm speaking to them in a little bit more different way because
Hmm.
they're already more familiar with what I'm doing. So that those conversations are a little bit more, I'll call it direct, but not,
Sure.
you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'll untag them because it's like, well, they just told me they're not doing this anymore.
Right.
So
Right.
I think what it's really coming down to, Eddie, is really listening to the other person. And you're
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic at this.
Thank you.
This is your genius.
Yeah.
And if you could
Yeah.
teach that to other people and
Mm.
make that into a habit slash automation thing,
Yeah.
it'll take off for them.
Yeah.
Because it's like anything else. It's like if you go into a boiler room, it's like, okay, guys, 100 calls a day, right? Got it. And they're machines. But imagine if it's the same thing. It's like, okay, guys, first thing you do, open your computer, look at the 20 people you're going to text them. No expectations, just text them and
Yeah.
then move on to your calls. Like that's just
Yes.
part of the day,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's um I guess you hit it at the beginning. You said, the as a company, they're expecting the result of that, right? Their time spent is equal to money spent, so they need a
Thanks,
return.
Ashley.
So, it's how the world has operated for a while. The great news for you, myself, and many other ones here, like Ashley, Lorna, so the good news for us is that things are shifting in a big way.
I
Joey,
know.
if I'm telling you, Joey, like what,
I know.
5 years ago, right? We talked about this, you made the leap and things were changing already. Okay. But can I tell you this? In the commercial corporate world, Joey, okay, the big companies, all right, there's this the same shift is happening.
Amazing.
Dude, it's like it's all I feel that all of a sudden this virtual leap, the virtual world leap that we had, this push into the virtual world that we just had the past 3 years, has actually brought more humanity to the business relationships than ever before. And here is where the division is going to happen. This is where the separation is going to happen. And I have a feeling, man, that this is one of those times where you don't want to be in the wrong side
Yeah,
because you're going to be wanting to catch up and it's going to be too late.
that's right.
Yeah. So it's exciting times, man. And so thank you for sharing all that because you have given me already. I'll tell you what you've given me because maybe someone will listen to this and they need to know. So you've given me that there is a way to personalize your connections. Segmentation is important. Obviously, we talked about quick pre-qualification because you have one, and I always recommend to have one. But most importantly, you can actually give value to many people at one time and save a lot of time by
Yeah,
doing so. And also, I think out of the most important part out of all this, I like what you said, and we have to hit it one more time because it's so important, is really being human and just really just show up to just say hey, no agenda behind. And I think that that takes a very small amount of time through the day, through the week, through the month, because that will turn into something big, whether it's from that person directly or better yet. Like I see it all the time. I tell my guys all the time. I'm like, look, you bring coffee to this person, you bring donuts to this company, and I can promise you that they'll remember you more often than some other dude,
yeah,
some other person. But the best part is that you just don't know who they know.
that's
And
right.
your name is going to come up in a way that you just never expected. And all of a sudden, from that one coffee, that one donut, it turned out to have a $1 million offer, whatever, company and stuff like that. So that's important.
Yeah, and I think that one thing that I want to make sure that, at least from my perspective, is to define what agenda is, right? Because realistically, I do have an agenda, right, to promote or market or whatever, get in front of the right people. That's kind of the big agenda. There's a difference between, in my mind, an agenda and an expectation. So if I show up to this expecting to get a sale, that's what I'm saying. That's not what I'm doing. But the
Right.
agenda is, well, I'm just going to show up and serve. And I know that there's at least one dream client out there right now who's watching or will
Yes.
see this later and they may
Right.
become a client. So the agenda is like,
Yes.
yeah, I want to eventually meet that person and
Right.
talk to him or her and share
Yeah.
what I can do, right? That's the agenda. But
That's
it's
the
not an
agenda.
expectation. So
Yeah.
I don't go like I've been doing this now, dude, like for I don't know, 3.5 years, almost 4 years,
That's
right?
crazy.
And it's a long time. It's every Tuesday
Yeah.
night. But that's the agenda. The agenda is like just let me show up and serve,
Wait,
and right?
you mean you've done this live stream for that long?
Yes, yes, man.
No.
Yeah,
Dude, that is crazy.
yeah, man.
Every Tuesday?
Every
Dude,
Tuesday. I
what
missed
the
one Tuesday where Scott tried to go live and the thing
it
messed up. And
didn't
anyway,
work.
I was trying to
Wow.
come live. I was at the Janet Jackson concert, and I go, I'll come live with you for like a couple minutes. We still tried to do it, but so
Yeah.
technically I showed up that Tuesday, but I only missed like one. We didn't do one show, but it was like yeah,
Wow, Joey. That's again, man, it comes back to what I've learned. I remember back in the day, you say, Eddie, you gotta step up and show up.
that's it.
you
Step
know,
up and show up.
but okay, I like that. Agenda is important. That's actually
It's the
something that,
maybe agenda's not the
no, no,
it's more of
I
an
think it is.
intention. The
Yeah,
intention is I want to meet the right
right,
person so I can share with what I have,
right,
but it's
right,
not an expectation. That's really what unfunnel is. It's not like,
right.
oh, you're lying. You're telling me you don't have a funnel, but then you're telling me you don't want to sell. No, I hope that I sell
Yes.
something
Yes.
to the right person, but I don't expect it to
Yeah.
happen.
You're not willing to sell your values, your life
Yeah.
for just a buck.
Yeah, yeah,
Which
yeah.
again, yes. Yeah, I'm glad. So okay, so we're not gonna call it agenda. What are we calling it?
It is kind of an agenda. Depends on how you want. Like the
Expectations?
agenda,
Well,
the overall agenda is, well, why are you doing all this? Because I want to
right.
sell my services to dream
Yes.
clients. That's the
Yes.
agenda, their big goal or
Right.
whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But
Right.
you could also look at agenda is, okay, what's the agenda of building the sale funnel? Well, the agenda is I want to put them in, opt them in. They're going to get 5 emails. And at the end of the day, they're going to get this offer. On Friday, they buy and they close the cart. Blah blah blah. That could be an agenda. But in
Hmm.
my mind, there is still an agenda of, yes, eventually I want to sell my program to the right person, but I remove the expectation part of it. So they don't go in that immediate funnel to sell. The agenda is come into my world and hopefully you'll see that I'm a really cool dude and I got something that you want and I know that I'm the expert and I can help you. That's what the agenda is. But the pressure of all that happening is removed. And that's the unfunnel piece of it.
Yeah. Like I'm trying to think. I will say, I guess,
Ashley, we're going to get to your question in a sec.
I guess for my world, I will call it an action plan. Because you need to be actively involved, but have a plan behind that, not just to get a sale, not just to close the deal. You need to have a plan of action
Yeah,
to
yeah.
lead to that ultimate goal, but not the, like you said, the agenda. Like, this is, we got to do this now because we got to make the money now. So
Yeah, every
so
process is going to be different. If you have an
right.
agenda or a process or whatever it is, like a plan of action, what's the
Yeah.
plan of action? The plan of action is it could still be I wanted them to opt in,
For-
and in 5 days get on a call, and I want to sell them
yeah.
something. That could be a plan of action. That's
Forward
fantastic. My plan of
forward
action is easy,
momentum.
Eddie. I get up, I serve every single day, I help, and then I show up on these things and I serve my clients. Like that's my plan of action. So,
Yeah. Plan of
but
action.
if you said,
Yes.
well, okay, show me your analytics. Like, where do all the people come from? It's impossible for me to tell you where my customer journey starts from because I have no idea. Did they
Hmm.
first see me on YouTube? Did Eddie
Right.
tell this person to go watch one of my lives? Like, I don't know
Right.
where it all
Right.
started from. All I
Right.
know is that this person is now an Atlas customer.
Right. But
Like,
but 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 yeah, but it can be done. That doesn't mean it cannot be done. It can be
you can
tracked
track
down
from a point.
a point. Right. You can do from a certain point and then go forward. But again, it comes down to that. So look, I got two words for you, and then you just like this is it to me. Forward momentum, right? And having clear goals. Because if you don't have clear goals and you're trying to,
Yeah, yeah,
right? Okay,
yeah.
so that's good. What does Ashley is asking there?
Ashley, this is a great question. What
Yeah,
if you're in the process of just building slash rebuilding your business? What advice do you have? This actually, I could do a whole show on this because this is what I did in 2019. I rebuilt my business based on what
and,
I'm saying
and
to you
I
here.
was and I was
And
there to watch it all, and it was incredibly hard. And
oh
here
yeah,
you
that's
are.
right. So Eddie was part of that
Yeah,
rebuild process of
yeah,
me even before that process. He was
yeah,
whenever I talk about my 2016 to 19 thing, Eddie was right
yeah. I saw it,
in the
man.
trenches, like watching me every single day, going through like
Yeah,
major stuff,
yeah,
man. So like that's why we're best friends because
yeah.
he was there for me, supporting me, and I really thank you for that and grateful for
Oh
that.
man,
But
meant
as
me out
well, like
too.
it now, it gives me at least it's not just my story because someone was there saying, "Oh no,
Yeah.
he was like doing this and now he's doing this." So yeah,
But yeah, you were definitely in the rebuild process, 100%.
Ashley, we don't have the time right now to go through all this, and I'm not trying to avoid this at all because I'd love to talk about this. And you can even DM me, and I can ask you a couple more direct questions and give you some advice. I'd be happy to do that. But I guess the overall thing that I did, I'm going to start it with this, and we've already kind of touched on it. I went every day. I used to wake up asking myself one question: how do I sell something today? That's what I did in 2016 to 19. How do I sell something today? In 2019, I said, how do I serve someone today?
Mm-hmm.
There was a big switch,
Yeah.
and it was not easy. It was
Mm-hmm.
not easy. It was already a struggle between 2016 and 19 because I was going, how do I sell? How do I sell? How do I sell? And nothing was selling. And
Right.
everybody, I guess the world felt that, or whoever I was speaking to felt that pressure of me going, damn it, I got to sell, right? And all the
Yes.
calls and all the stuff, they just felt that
Yes.
energy that this guy wants to sell me. And
Mm-hmm.
then in 2019, it was like, even though I needed money even more, it was, I'm just going to serve. I'm just going to see what happens. Because we talked about it today, right? On the Academy calls. Like, you don't know what you don't know. So I tried this. I'm going to go try this way. And the bad, I shouldn't say the bad, but the very hard part about it, Ashley, and this is not a direct, like, what did I do? And again, I can help you a little bit more with direct answers, but I want to make sure that everybody hears this. When I made that switch, it wasn't like a magic light bulb. It was actually even harder because every day I still was struggling for money, but I
Yeah.
wasn't putting out offers. It was like, no, I'm going to refrain from doing that and I'm going to serve. It did lead 6 months later to an opportunity with Kajabi and all these other things. And it was fantastic, but I would
Mm-hmm.
never have known that had I not done it. And now I can look back and put all the dots together. And now that's kind of what I help other people do. And now it's kind of like a process and it's a sales thing. Is like, this is the program of what I
Mm-hmm.
did. But I didn't never understand how to do it. So the quick answer is figure out who you want to serve. And it's not an ideal client. It's a dream client, a premium dream client. And when you understand who the premium dream client is, $1,000 or more, you need less of them and they have to fit your life. That's the difference. Is rebuilding the business based on people that you love and want to have in your life. That's how I
Mm.
built my business now and the people in my life. So the curation process that Eddie and I were talking about, or the prep work, or the what'd you call it again? The
Oh, I like that. The
pre
pre-qualification.
yeah.
But I like the curation process. Ooh, I'm gonna take
That's
that.
what it is. It's curation for me. That's they
Mhm.
have to be curated from day one. And so when they come in and talk to me, it's, does this person fit my life first
Mhm.
as a human, as and people, there's two camps. They're like, Joey doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Like, you can't be friends with your clients. They're just there to make money. And I don't believe that because I grew up with my dad having friends and all this kind of stuff. So I just like, why would I want to deal with anybody that is not someone that I could have a conversation with over dinner?
Yeah.
Not a sales dinner, but let's just go out and have just go for lunch,
Yeah.
and not a sales pitch, right? And so for me it was like, how do I, and in that case is the reason why I'm not talking to thousands and thousands of people, because that's a completely different
Hmm.
business. So it depends, Ashley. Your answer is amazing, but I need to know more details about what it is you're actually doing to then
Hmm.
give you more of a direct
Yeah.
answer.
But Ashley, just know, right? It's guaranteed. I think Joey, and you can tell me otherwise, but I feel that whether you're building or rebuilding, it takes guts.
For
It
sure it
takes
does.
right. It takes guts because it's not an easy thing, especially when you're going against what everybody else is telling you to do.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
takes
yeah. If you're doing what I'm doing, for sure, it was hard because I had a lot of people tell me I was crazy.
yeah.
Uh, I removed a lot of people out of my life because they just were negative energies, and I'm like, okay, fine. You don't have to do what I'm doing, but at the same time, you don't have to bash it either. You can just
Hmm.
wish me luck or whatever. Like, hey, good. I hope that works for you, but I'm not. That's not what I'm going to do. Okay, great. I'm not forcing you to do anything. That's
Yeah.
the reason. Again, even when it comes back to the people that I work with Atlas, I figured, why should I try to convince somebody that they need a simple system, a calm system, and like they don't have to do funnels and all these? Like, why should I have to convince somebody of that?
Hmm.
Right? Like, pull them in, right? Like, you pull them in, you got to
Yeah.
pull them
Yeah.
around. Like, why should I have to
Yeah.
pull somebody's teeth to try and
Yeah.
figure this out? It doesn't
Yeah.
mean that I don't have conversations outside to say this is the difference and all that stuff. It's not like that. But if somebody's like, oh, no, 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 that's forget that. And like, no, but here, let me actually give you a discount then and come on in. Like, none of that.
Mm, mm-mm.
It just doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense to like
Right.
deal with all of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I already
Yeah.
had that negative energy
Right.
of people that weren't even paying me. It was like, why would I have that
Yeah.
negative energy
Right.
with clients? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. That is so true, man. Oh my goodness. This is so cool. Like always, Joey, you always come up with good stuff, and I appreciate what you shared today because it makes it actually, it makes me feel good that I have access to you to discuss these things because who else? There's just really not many people out there that are talking about this stuff, and this is important. It is human to human connections, human to human relationships, understanding that behind the screens, behind the phones, there is a actual person that's living their life, or an actual business person that understands how to run their business. They just need some additional help.
That's right.
So, we just need to come down to that realization that it's not about us, obviously, but it's about how can we build that relationship. And this is my saying, right? I always like to say, look, focus on building genuine relationships because eventually they're going to turn into profitable relationships, right? Be
Right on. I
genuine,
love that. I love that.
profitable relationships, right? And but it takes time, it takes effort, and it takes consistency. Congrats, by the way, Joey. 3.5 years of almost 4. Holy smokes. Like, I can't even, I'm telling you, Joey, you just said that. I thought you were talking about the business that you've built. You're talking about this live stream. That is crazy, but man, that's awesome. So consistency and being yourself no matter where you're at, right? So,
That's right, man. And just before we
uh,
go, I just want to give some props out here to some of these and quick answers to these. Lorna, I think we hit on this already, but you're right. Like hidden agenda. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with that one, but I guess it is because it kind of is. You don't
well,
really talk about it,
she does
but
say that you don't have a hidden agenda,
it
but I guess she's asking, is it an intention more than an agenda?
it is an intention. Like again, these are all semantics of words, and it is
Mhm.
right. Like if you don't really talk about thing, it is hidden. It's like here's my hidden agenda, right? Here's the thing, and I'm not afraid to talk about it anyway. Somebody says, so if somebody said to me, okay, I just came to your free thing and you never really sold me anything, but you do really want to sell me something, don't you? I would say, yeah, eventually, if you're the right person, for sure. I would never
Yeah.
say, oh, no, 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 no. Like, that's just lying. But
Right.
it depends on what word you want to choose. So there is an
Mhm.
agenda, I guess, a big agenda for me. Like, let me
Mhm.
bring the right people into my world, and hopefully, some of them will want to buy from me, and that's the agenda. But it's
Yeah.
how that's executed is different. I do that differently than
Yeah.
pretty much a lot of other people. So that's the
Exactly.
the difference. Hopefully that answered the question, Lorna. Thank you for bringing that up. And Ashley says, "Oh no, Lorna, I'm so grateful that you want your clients to be best friends. Yes, because Lorna and I are best friends. She was a client first, and we're best friends, and now she kind of works with me too. So it all,
Well, it works out. It all works out.
it all works out, and it's so great. And one of the things too, I just want to touch on this too, Eddie, because I know you have to go. Um, is and I want everybody to hear this because Lorna can attest to this, and it's a fact that when you have a client and they are your friend, they become friends and best friends or whatever, right? And then they know the line that when they're in a conversation or I don't know, in a space or something where they're a friend and where they're not. They know
Mm.
the line that says,
Mm.
"Oh, I'm going into this environment and he's my coach now, or he's the
Yeah, that's
person I'm
true.
buying stuff from,
That's true.
or I'm at his house and it's a barbecue and I'm his friend."
That's
Right?
true.
And they that line is there and they know how to cross it, whatever. They know the line that they're on. And
Yeah.
that's impossible to teach without just being cool
Yeah.
and to understand and that's what I learned from my dad. I saw this every single week. I saw this all the time, like, huh? Who are these people? So that's the one thing. And you gain that. You gain these
Yeah.
friends who know you as a person and respect you as a friend. And they also respect you as whatever, your coach, or you bought something from him, and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
I like
And
that.
one respect, hey, call. This is Collie. It's got to be Collie because that's her call sign. You see, there's your marketing right there. Glad that you made it. Glad that you made it. Eddie,
That's
thank you
all.
so much for being here, man. I appreciate you.
Dude, this
You got
is
to get back
awesome.
to your family. I love you, man. Love your
Love
family.
you
You are
too,
an
man.
amazing. Any last words before we go?
Man, let me
I'll
just
let you take
say,
it out.
no, you know what? I just say this, that what you just said, the last piece is so true, Joey, because with you, I know when you're mentoring me, I know when you're teaching me, and I know when we're just hanging out. And it is such a wonderful experience. And it's important for all of you out there to realize that it's possible, but imagine having many of those type of relationships. It's just a wonderful experience in business and in life. So thanks for that, Joey. You're my good, amazing best friend, dude, and I appreciate you very much. Thanks a lot.
Likewise. Likewise. Thank you, my friend. And thank you for being here live. Hashtag
Appreciate it.
live if you are live, let us know, or hashtag replay if you're just watching the replay. And by the way, if you're watching the replay and you still have something to ask or a question or feedback or anything, put it into the comments and I will come back and respond to it for sure. And Lorna, we have a few lines to navigate. We know where to be and how to act when we're on any side of the line. Yeah, but it's it's so funny. We should have a conversation just around that. Eddie is the fine line between friends and customers, and just have a conversation around that because maybe we'll have a three-way conversation, like bring Lauren in and you, and because I imagine, and tell me if I'm right or wrong, I imagine that you do not need to be told when the line, which side of the line you're on. You just kind of know it.
It just I just know it, right?
Yeah,
It just flows. You just
and
flow into
it's yeah,
it.
it's just so.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll have that conversation another time.
That's awesome, man. I love it. Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Joey, thanks a lot for this time. I appreciate you, my friend.
Back at you, bro. See you guys.